So after that, that was the first time I kind of stood up to Cena and, defended myself because he'd already done so much to me and disrespected me. I'm going to respect myself. And, now we're on a level playing field. I don't care if you're the top guy. You're not going to talk to me like that. You're not. So after that, he would still try to mess with me, but like it didn't work. And I remember like we're supposed to go around and shake everybody's hand when we get to the building, and Cena will pull his passive aggressive stuff. I would go to shake his hand. He would make himself hard to find or avert his eyes from me or whatever. So what I did, I don't care, man. I'm not chasing you down to shake your hand and tell on me if you feel like it. And he did, but whatever. But either way, after that, he just had less of an impact on me because I just wouldn't sell him. And it's like any bully. After a while, he kind of got tired of picking on me because it wasn't really working. It doesn't mean he didn't try, but like, he then realized, look, I think he realized pretty quick though, Otunga's a real dude. He's not playing with me anymore. And that was my energy because I was not. All of the conventions went out of the window and wrestling culture and respect I was supposed to pay. I'm not fooling around anymore. So we end up still working together, being super professional. Everything was always really stiff and snug when we worked, but it was cool. Then there was a tag team match, McGillicuddy and Husky Harris against John Cena. I don't know who his partner was, and I was there on the outside. But this is kind of a famous match that most people don't know about, but we definitely know about it backstage and amongst the boys. But during this match, Husky Harris allegedly poked John Cena in the eye. Allegedly. Cena went crazy in this match. We get to the back, Cena goes crazy. He goes off, says we're not ready. He got poked in the eye, like it was bad. Again, I told you I wasn't selling Cena anymore. I listened to the rant a little bit, but it was more aimed at Wyndham, Husky Harris. So I took a little bit. I walked off to the locker room. Like, I'm not playing with you anymore. I remember after I went to the locker room, Wyndham was still getting chewed out. And then eventually, like, he came in the back and he was mad. And he was like, man, I'm telling you, he's like, it's bad. And he's like, I just found out. He's like, we're getting sent back to FCW. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. He's like, they told Joe and I, like, we're not getting travel this week or whatever. Like, we got to go back to FCW. And he's like, and Wyndham knew I moved to Chicago. I was like, well, what did they say about me? He goes, I don't know, man. You probably got to move back to Tampa. And I remember him telling me that. And I was like, So I kept expecting them to come talk to me. And they didn't. They didn't say anything about moving. But then, sure enough, he did get travel, ended up having to go to FCW. But they explained to me anyway that McGillicuddy and I were now going to be a tag team, and they wanted us just to start working together. And I vividly remember this. They had us work with these two guys who were new to FCW. This was my first time meeting with them because they thought they were top talent and they wanted to work with us because we were the Nexus and they were going to be starting like a new faction or something. But anyway, the two guys were Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. It was my first time meeting both of them in FCW. I remember this vividly. Norman Smiley was there with us, and it was McGillicuddy and I, and we just went through a practice match. Both of those guys were freaking great, man. Like, it was awesome working with Rollins. It was awesome working with Reigns too. Like, yeah, he was a really cool dude. Both of them were. But interesting thing is, they kept Wyndham down in FCW. Like, they didn't let him out. But while he was down there, he created Bray Wyatt. And he was there for like 2 years. But I remember when he came back and he debuted Bray Wyatt and just thinking, man, John Cena led to this. Like, going crazy about allegedly getting poked in the eye led to Wyndham going back to FCW and eventually coming up with Bray Wyatt. And that was how he worked his way back up to the main roster. But like, what if that didn't happen? Because I'm telling you, like, before he debuted with Bray Wyatt, like, McGillicuddy and I, we felt away, man, because like I thought like Wyndham could get fired. And we were close, man. He was one of us. Like, this could have been any one of us. Like, that's not cool. And I don't even know if he really poked him in the eye. But either way, Cena, went off. He should have done. I mean, you already know how I felt about John Cena at that time. I already knew what time it was. But that match was infamous. And I actually heard Baron Corbin telling a story on Chris Van Vliet's podcast about how he had poked Cena in the eye in a match, and Cena went off on him mid-match. Sounded very similar to what he did to me, but Corbin was terrified because he had heard of Bray Wyatt's story when he was Husky Harris about poking Cena in the eye and getting sent back to FCW. And like the way he talked about it was like, it was kind of like an urban legend or whatever. Well, I can confirm that did indeed happen, and I participated in the match. I was there. I was part of that, both McGillicuddy and I. So that definitely happened. If I were to speculate, it kind of seems like just how Cena moves is that in a way, he feels like he kind of helped create Bray Wyatt, because had he not sent Husky Harris back, Wyndham wouldn't have had to come up with Bray Wyatt. So kind of like in Cena's revisionist history mind, he sees himself as being responsible for it. Because, just from the outside looking in, he seemed like he was much cooler to Wyndham when Wyndham came back as Bray Wyatt.